You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is July 18th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Next up is property management report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Courtney Hamer, the interim property manager, and I want to jump right into the report. For a waiting list, regarding public housing, we do have 2,261 applicants.
We have confirmed that number.
Yes. We have
Done our due diligence, so we should be going down from there.
Oh, yeah. So yes, we have confirmed the number of 2,261 applicants. I have selected 20 applicants from the wait list. In the future, sometime this month or next month, I will be on final eligibility with those 20 applicants that I have selected from the wait list. For home ownership, we do have 161 applicants, and for business activities, we have 318 applicants. Now regarding the developments, I'm going to start with Lakeland Estates. We're at 82% utilization. We have 9 vacant units. Boulevard Gardens, we're at 76% utilization with 24 vacant units. Harborside Homes, we're at 86% utilization with 2 vacant units. The Harborside duplexes, we're at 83% utilization with 1 vacant unit. And any of our scattered sites, we're at 83% utilization with 2 vacant units. Business activities, we are at 76% utilization with 6 vacant units. Regarding the work orders and operations of the
Right, question.
yes.
So it looks like, as far as the vacant units, we have a total of between 35 and 40 vacant units.
Yes.
Between the developments, Boulevard Gardens, Lakeland Estates. So are you gonna pull those from the 2,261 that are on the wait list?
Yes.
Okay. So how quickly are you moving through placing individuals in these vacant units?
Well, as far as Boulevard Gardens, I do have 8 ready vacant units. Majority of the units that's listed vacant, they're not ready yet. So we're in the process of trying to get them rehab and get them going so we can start leasing people for those units. But at the present moment, we only have 8 ready to move in units.
Okay. So they pass inspection and all of that, right?
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, just how many of these are in mod or rehab? I mean, just kind of in order. Is that total, you said there's 8 that are ready?
Yes.
All of the vacants, yeah, all together there's 8?
Yes, and those 8 units are actually Boulevard Garden units.
Okay. So then we need to make progress on the other ones to get them ready.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, let me go back to Lakeland Estates, because I know that we have a lot of units out there that will be in rehab.
Mhm.
We have 9 vacant. Of the 9, how many are moving ready?
None.
None of the 9 are moving ready?
None.
How long is it gonna take to get that up to par? I mean, what's it gonna take to get?
So those units have to be contracted out, RFP, those have to be, those units are not units that the housing authority can turn. So then that's on me getting RFPs out, getting contractors there.
Are these 9 units that became vacant recently since you've been there?
No, most of these units have been vacant before we got into place.
Because I know that we had an RSP, we had, two construction agencies that were working on units prior to, our EV coming in. And I was under the impression that all the units were under that umbrella of becoming ready, of readiness. So you're saying there are 9 additional units?
So if that is accurate, that wasn't communicated or something that I was aware of. The last of those contractors have done that prior to me coming here. But other than that, there's not any.
So they're done though? The 2 contractors are done to your knowledge?
Yes, as far as there hasn't been any communication presented here on these contracted units. The only terms that have happened are Boulevard Gardens, but it's only the terms of the maintenance before.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. And that brings us to the finance report.
So we are, as far as our finance report, we're still waiting for our fee accountant to reconcile books that had not been done this fiscal year. So what we have is our list of bills. And when we look at the list of bills, some of them appear to be duplicate. And what it is when you look to the right, that they're broken down. So you may have a bill for $100, but maybe those bills are paid out of 3 different accounts. So for example, maybe there's a proration, so it's a utility bill. It could be part HCV responsibility, it could be part public housing or business activities. So that is what that is on the sides.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was looking at it yesterday.
What's going on here?
I was looking at it and I noticed the same address at least 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So you're saying that's because it's coming out of 3 different,
We call it a split or distribution. So if there's a charge, perhaps maybe one program doesn't take all the entire charge. There may be a proration that is done between public housing and business activity, public housing and HCV or so forth.
Any questions regarding the transactions, bills that we paid for last month? I got a question. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, a really good example, when you look at the stipends for the commissioners, you'll see how it's broken down, which, you didn't get a $7 check in it.
right, I just didn't understand the properties, the breakdown of the properties. I understood for the side.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same idea for all. I'm sorry, go ahead.
To bridge on that, I know there's some agencies use a central cost center. Is that something that would make the record keeping easier? Is that something that we might want to look into? Like I said, we're kind of right at the limit. Is that something you thought about, something you were thinking about, anything at all? What are your thoughts on that?
So I haven't thought about it as far as this. I don't know how that would make the county looking, how make this report looking different. But what happens when you have a central cost center, you're still charged for each program. The difference is that each program then pays into the central cost fund. So there's something called management fees and accounting fees. And so those fees are then paid from HCV into the COCC. Anything in this paid within the COCC becomes federalized. So I don't know about as far as the reports, but what's nice about having a COCC is that any money that goes into COC is defederalized. And so that being so, that helps with, I won't say you can use it for anything, but it gives you a lot of opportunities to do things that you couldn't do with federalized money.
Okay.
But housing authorities our size, and I don't remember the cutoff, are not required. Many years ago, I want to say maybe 2005 or something like that, housing authorities changed to the COCC or asset management model, and it required housing authorities to have a COCC. That wasn't a requirement for us. And so it may look a little different, I can't say.
Okay. Anything else? Next, we've got our executive director.
So next we have the resolution to update the procurement policy. So this is something that Attorney Rags and I went over together. And simply what we did was we took HUD's template, HUD's basic requirements for procurement policy and implemented it in for today, for today's meeting. We had an outdated procurement policy that was not based on the current regs or current Title II. And so we wanted to make sure that we were compliant. So this policy is strictly kind of a template from HUD. We haven't really made any choices specific to Michigan City Housing Authority. This is just to make sure that we're compliant with current procurement policy. It goes along with our requirement to complete the monitoring review assessment to have the procurement policy updated. And so what we can do, if there's anything later that we want to tweak or specify towards Michigan City, we can do that. But this is really a HUD template just to make sure that we are in the current requirements. Is there any questions or concerns? Like I said, it was just more so, normally I wouldn't have brought a policy at the last minute. We talked about that before. It was just that this here is really not anything of our options, if you will. It's just really to bring us up to date so that we meet the current procurement requirements.
I think that's good to have it in place, and you can always go back and kind of fill in the blanks with how we want to tweak, like you said, for the savings. So, do we need to make a motion?
We will need to make a motion, yes.
Motion to accept the procurement policy.
We're actually not to that yet. We're trying to have the agenda.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to interrupt her, she's going to
It's not, it's not, it's.
But we're still on the executive director report before we get to this.
Okay, I was just jumping ahead. I was ready to
You're ready to go.
I'm ready, you're right. Sorry. Okay, I'm just finance to that. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. In your packets, you have an independent audit for 2023. As you may be aware, prior to coming here, the Councilman Floyd put in a request to HUD for a waiver because we weren't expecting us to be able to get our audit report completed. We did receive word, HUD denied it. However, our auditor had already began working on it prior to us getting the notice from HUD, so it kind of worked out. We did not receive any audit findings. Very surprising. It is my suggestion that probably next, well, I'm not gonna say my suggestion, we're gonna have to bid out for an auditor for next year because we've come to the end of that contract anyway. And so just an FYI, the monitoring review that HUD gave us is going to supersede pretty much whatever speed. Just for the record, there are no findings. Yes. I don't need anything else to respond to. I thought I would mention this to kind of put you all a little bit at ease. Currently in the process of working on the 2025 budget. Some people can tell on time. It's my hope that I will have it completed and be able to present it for the August board meeting. So don't usually like to comment on things that we haven't done, but I know that that was a little bit of a sore spot. So we want to make sure that you all know that we're working on that. I'm working on that. We received the final specs for the security contract or the security grants through Verkada, Tri-Electronics, and Trust Tech. And so we're working to go ahead and I received everyone. It was just yesterday. They came out. They did some assessments. Not a tech person, but check some fiber optics or something. And they will be working on the security door replacement. I'm not sure if you all remember. This is something you all approved and got a grant so a while back. And it will replace all of the doors going into Boulevard Gardens, into the hallways. It will provide a camera and new locks. And the locks will actually be a key fob.
No, those are just locks on the outside doors, nothing on the interior.
On the outside doors. On the outside doors. And then also update the main office door and provide a camera for the main office door. Also to, next week, you'll see we have, a few flyers in front of you. Our property manager has been busy. Next week, we will have at Boulevard Gardens, we will have coffee with the cop. We have, met with, Chief Corley and wanted to start some engagement, with the residents, and we want to start with coffee with the cop. And then also, the next flyer will be at Lakeland, and we'll do pizza with the police. Tenant meetings have been going on since the last month, and they will follow every month. We will alternate. So Lakeland was done last week. Next month will be Boulevard Gardens, and we'll continue to alternate. In addition to the tenant meetings, we want to also offer events as we come up maybe for the holidays and some other things that we're working on. And that's all I have for the evening report.
Are there any questions? I did want to just, are we making good progress on the monitoring review?
Oh, yes.
There's number buttons.
That was actually the second thing, yes. I skipped it. Yes, I am working on the monitor review and it will be turned in before the deadline. Absolutely.
All right. Any attorney report?
I don't have a report at this point, no.
All right, now we're on to the new business, the authorization to approve the procurement policy. We've already gone over it.
So I don't think
Yeah,
I was talking about order.
My motion.
You know,
Sorry.
we don't like passing things and going back and amending them, but this way we're in compliance and we can fix it to make it fit us as needed. Now, I'll accept any motions.
Make a motion to approve the policy.
So,
All right. Did you call it a roll call? Stick to the vote.
Chairman Levy,
Aye.
Vice Chair Rayner, Commissioner Benny,
Aye.
Commissioner Vincent.
Aye.
All right, with 4 ayes, we say it passes, so we'll get it signed and we're in compliance. Next, we've got authorization to create an MCHA nonprofit instrumentality. And I'll let Executive Director explain why that's not.
Okay. So when I came on board, what was noticed is that we lack having an instrumentality for the housing authority. Probably, I want to say, without being specific, maybe the last 15, 20 years in housing authorities, it's fairly common for housing authorities to have a nonprofit. Housing authorities themselves aren't able to, and please correct me, attorneys know if I misspeak, but housing authorities are not able to develop or take out loans in ways that nonprofits can do so. And so it's been very instrumental for housing authorities across the country when they want to do rehab or development to their properties, because we simply don't get enough money from HUD in my organization in order to keep up with updates. It's known fact, not just Michigan City Housing Authority, but across the country. And so housing authorities began creating nonprofits, and through the nonprofits, we can partner with developers and so forth in order to develop, to do tax credits on properties, even to project-based properties, where housing authorities are able to be a portion of that for, developers. I know numerous housing authorities now are actually have like a development component to their agency. And so creating a instrumentality gives Michigan City Housing Authority an opportunity to do so. Now I have to tell you, with everything going on and us, basically stabilizing the foundation here at Michigan City, I don't have any plans today for development, but I would be remiss if I didn't set up. And so then if the opportunity comes along, then we're able to actually take advantage of it. Someday, I don't know how soon it'll be or how long it'll be, but we will need a nonprofit so that we can do development, so that we can upgrade our units the way we want to, possibly build new and so forth. And that needs to be done through a nonprofit. The instrumentality is, again, correct me if I'm misspeaking, Attorney Snow, but the instrumentality becomes an arm of the housing authority. It can't break away from the housing authority. It's there specifically for development. Housing authorities can have multiple nonprofits. I worked at a couple that had multiple, even set up for different developments or different reasons. I worked at one housing authority and we had an enrichment foundation, nonprofit. So housing authorities can have multiple, so it would not conflict with HCI.
That was my question, because Mr. Vincent and I both sit on the HCI board also, and I know that there's a lot of things going on with Housing Authority. HCI is trying to get itself up to be a strong organization to support low and affordable housing for residents in this area. And we still want to have that connection with Housing Authority, but it is an affiliate. So that, and I know at one point in time, the attorney, Mr. Harris, had spoken about having a joint session with the Housing Authority Board along with the MCHDI board that never came to fruition. And I think it would have been very beneficial so that everyone could be on the same page and have an understanding. But with that being said, if that is the purpose of that, I understand that. As far as the development part of it and the arm part of it.
I was gonna say, I think that, when you have an affiliated nonprofit, I mean, there's obviously certain grants that can go to a nonprofit that can't go to a government agency. There's certain donors that will donate to a nonprofit, a 501c3, because it's a different tax benefit to them. And a lot of times, like Tiffany's saying, when you do like a mixed finance development, there's a whole process of offering up a tax credit for an investor to purchase, and that money has to flow through a nonprofit in order to be able to be used by the housing authority. There are two different types. There's an instrumentality, as she's mentioning, and there's an affiliate, which is what you're mentioning. And the difference between the two is in the level of control that the housing authority has over them and the separation, kind of the separation of powers. Typically, an instrumentality is much more directly controlled by the housing authority, and it's generally designed for a much more kind of direct, specific purpose. So we have another client who has an affiliate agency, and that agency actually, the affiliate actually now owns several good-sized apartment complexes, and they kind of function on their own. They've started to hire their own staff. But they still keep that link with the housing authority, and they still support the housing authority's initiative. So that's definitely possible. Typically, when you're talking about an instrumentality, you want something that this board for the housing authority can specifically direct. And so you kind of, by designing it that way, you kind of ensure that its purposes are going to be fully in line with the housing authority's purposes, and it makes it easier. Because a lot of times that organization is just acting as a pass-through for funds, sorry. And so it's a little bit more limited in the scope of what it can do, but it's a little easier to work with from the agency's perspective. And I think that's why the two can coexist, and that's why you might want to have both. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention, that there's a program under the Housing Choice Voucher Program called Project Choice Vouchers. And that allows the housing authority to take part of its housing choice vouchers and basically project-based it in development. And so typically what happens is when developers are in the area and are interested in project-basing, they reach out to the housing authority. Housing authorities put out an RFP for those for proposals for project-based vouchers. Many years ago, when that would happen, it was just the housing authority would kind of give the vouchers and that would be it. But through the instrumentality, you're actually able to be a co-developer, maybe only be a small percentage of the deal, but it's more than you would have gotten before. It's a development that's a multi-million-dollar deal, even if it's only 1% or 2% of that, the housing authority now can fund partnership in that deal. There's residual income in addition to us giving the project-based vouchers. The positive side of the project-based vouchers is it's a 15-year contract with this developer that perhaps may have a brand new building or something that they've rehabbed extensively. Also, too, we know that with housing choice vouchers, it's really hard sometimes for families to find units to give them a voucher. They go out searching and are not able to find a unit. With the project basing of the voucher, there is a unit that's right there. There's a unit, there's a landlord. When tenants move in with their voucher, They can stay there when they decide that they want to move, they can leave. We can also offer a regular voucher if it becomes available, but the assistant stays with the unit. And so it takes some of those empty vouchers that we have and place them in a small feasible for someone to get housed, easier for families to find units. And so that is really my process, because I've been in places where people will contact you and we're just not even set up to even think about that.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Ms. Jason, could you call the roll for the vote?
Chair Maloney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rayner. Aye. Commissioner Benning. Aye. Commissioner Benson.
Aye.
All right, all in favor, it passes, so it creates an instrumentality, which I agree is a good idea. So we can take advantage of all the options out there so we can do what we can for our residents.
My Sunday day doctor's part of the meeting is the waterfall.
That brings us to old business. I just wanted to ask, when the commissioners got onto the audit exchange info that I discussed and looked at lead the way training.
Yes.
This is
It's a lot, but yes, I
It
have.
is, but you can click through it and you can just, Commissioner Benning, you can look at that yet?
No.
Have a comment, a question on that. It is, like Commissioner Reyna said, it is a lot. Do you think that we as a team should list out a criteria or a schedule of exams, like either break it off into different areas of training, or we all do the same training in a row so we all stay on the same page, other than just scattering around and clicking on all of this training that's available? And is there a specific course that we want to?
Well, the specific course would be the lead the way is the first one, because that's the foundation for the board. And for us, it's a lot of going over the same stuff, but it provides a lot of history from the housing authority, well, not the authority, but the housing and urban development, what they've done, and how we make sure we're in compliance and doing the things we need to do. And that's broken down in different sections. So it's got like finance, and it's got housing, like it breaks those down. So you just go through each little module, and yeah, we could schedule it if that would at least work through it. And we can, discuss, okay, we've done the first part, and now we're on ready on the next one. That might be a good idea, because I think there's like 4 different segments within the lead the way itself. So that it breaks that down.
And it breaks out even further if you go into it. Yeah.
Also, there was, I know we do retreat training. There's one coming up in, I think, October that I forgot to bring the sheet on. So that will have to be discussed at the end of the next one. Because we'll have our budget, we can discuss what training we're planning on doing for the next year for the board and the staff. All right, any commissioner remarks? Commissioner Benson?
I have one, and Ms. Dixon, I'd like to extend to yourself and your staff, because I drive up down Carter Road quite often in front of the Lakeside development, and I've noticed a big difference in the lawn is very well taken care of. There was a trouble, I'll call it a troubled area, just seemed to collect trash constantly on one corner, and that's been cleaned for weeks. So between yourself and the staff, and maybe the residents are taking better care of their area too, but I've seen definite change out there I'll say the last month. Just looks cleaner, more well kept. So between you, your staff, and the residents out there, I'd just like to say thank you for helping to keep our area nice.
I thank you for acknowledging that, because Courtney and I actually one day, we and my teenage son, we went out and we were picking up trash ourselves. So
And it's staying picked up. So maybe somebody has noticed and is using the trash receptacle.
we're trying.
Thank you for that.
And the tenants, through the tenant meetings, I know that was a big topic on our first tenant meeting, and people seem to be respond to that. So group effort, community effort.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other comments? I did want to say, you talked about your tenant meetings, and I like that we're doing events, reaching out, getting, commissioners might want to drop in on one or both of these events, just so the tenants know we're also listening, we care about the problems that are out there, and,
Absolutely, that's why I gave it to you. That's exactly why I gave it to you.
yeah, so that's, I think that's all we have today. Any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.